Awesome. Okay. I'll get this here. So we'll jump in it. All right. Perfect. Okay. Well, welcome to everyone who's watching online and anyone who's here. We're incredibly fortunate to be continuing our conversations with an entrepreneur. And this time, talk about food trucks and family businesses and everything in between, I guess. And lucky to have the two founders and owners and everything of Parc De Oaks, Chris and Andrea Amos. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Good to see you in person, Chris.
Yes,
Usually you're just on a newspaper in front of me or on an article that I see.
yeah, that's still an adjustment.
It's nice to get an actual in-person interaction. But thank you both again for being here, and excited to talk to you guys. Just remind everyone, I'm Jonathan. This is the Lead Center, and so we're fortunate enough to continue to do these talks and to operate programs like Accelerate Northside, our Accelerate Women's program, which starts in a couple weeks. But yeah, let's sort of dive into it. All right, so I went to Parc De Oaks this weekend, loved it. Just to make sure everyone knows, I did purchase this sweatshirt. This was not given to me. This is not an advertisement. It is an advertisement, actually, but and it was awesome. So I guess we start with why? Why a food truck park?
Well, it was back during COVID in 2020 when we started seeing food trucks pop up in random places in the parking lots or just random spots. And we've had the property since 2019. So it was like, why not do a food truck park? There's nothing to do really. And it was becoming more common because Lafayette's kind of behind in that with the food trucks.
Yeah.
So that's where it started.
Okay. Was it based off of anything? I mean, we've talked, and I know you guys kind of traveled around. Was it anything that you saw that you were like, oh, this could be?
Well, we traveled a lot to different food truck parks, trying to get different influences. But I mean, we went to Boulder, Colorado. First went to Austin, a couple places in California to try and see okay, you like this, don't like that, we can implement that to our spot. But to be honest, a lot of what we did was really organic and just kind of doing our own thing. And it's true that we really did focus on the oak trees.
Yeah.
And map around that. So we had a couple of influences saying, okay, we should do that. Maybe try and draw people this way. But a lot of it is just looked at the property and it was like, let's work what we have and focus on the nature aspect of it. That's how Parc De Oaks kind of took off.
Yeah. The oak trees was my favorite part, being there over the weekend. It was just all of this shade. The trees are gorgeous, and so to be able to just, I don't know, just relax and just sit down and just kids were running around playing stuff. So to kind of spin off from the oak tree, I mean, I could see how that plays a big role because, hey, you've had a landscape company, has been in your family for 3 generations. And so, I mean, for a little bit, talk about that. What was that like growing up in a house where you're going to work? I mean, and you're going to work for this family business.
Well, I mean, growing up in the 3rd generation type of environment, working in entrepreneurship really just became second nature. I don't even really think about it at this point. I mean, I never really had that 9-to-5 lifestyle. And I mean, I loved it, but like I said, my grandfather started a business in 1967. Yeah. He had 10 children. He didn't want it except the ninth son, my father. My father took it over, and then I was 22. I decided to take it over, and it's been an interesting life. I have been babied. I never was spoiled. It's true that I did get a worker's permit at 14.
You're good.
$6 an hour. My first check was $24.
I mean, it's impressive that they got you a worker's permit and didn't just pay you cash, just under the table.
My dad doesn't play with
as he shouldn't.
He doesn't play with the IRS or taxes. He takes it very seriously. He doesn't play with any type of notifications from LCG either. Nah, we did everything the right way. We went to the school board, and I was in 8th grade. I started working, and I've never really had a normal summer.
Okay.
I've never really even looked at holidays the same because I was 14, 15, and it's not a lot of money, but at the time, I started to grow and progress and have more responsibilities. And you 15
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're making your own money. So
Yeah.
you look at things differently because, I had to buy my own clothes, my own haircut.
Yeah.
So it's like I always had that certain responsibility. So I always knew that, money kind of it fluctuates, but you have to kind of retain it to build on.
Yeah.
So I kind of always did have the entrepreneur mindset, and try to pass it on to my wife.
Because that's totally different as we move on. Like there was no entrepreneurship really in your family before this.
Growing
So
up,
like,
it was like go to college, work the 9 to 5, retire there. But and nothing's wrong with that. But I just wasn't thinking about being my own boss. Didn't have any ideas until I met him, and then he has like ideas every other month, and I'm like, whoa. So yeah, it's different.
okay. So being growing up and not really seeing what that was like, whenever the idea of, hey, maybe we open up a food truck park, what was that like? And trying to think of like, well, where do you even start? And what happens if it doesn't work? And what, like, things that maybe for him is just like, well, what do you mean it's gonna work? There's no option. But like,
it was hard. I mean, you have the financial fear of like not getting a steady paycheck, and you having to do all the important stuff now. So that was an adjustment, just shifting my mindset basically.
Yeah.
But I had to lean on God, and Chris is like, because he's been through it in certain aspects, but just lean on him for support through it. So.
And so, as you get, Park De Oaks opened July last year, right? So almost a year. Um, were there things that sort of started to pop up where you guys were learning from? Ooh, that didn't go the way I thought, or that we can tweak that next time. The initial food truck park idea was just for the food trucks, but then it sort of has spawned into providing this space for the community and doing more than that. Like, what was that like? I guess as it shifted from this idea to like maybe something that's similar but a little different.
Well, it initially started like just had the food trucks park here, and it was more when my idea was more of a passive income type of thing.
Yeah.
And then it was just this huge influx of support. The opening day from the community, and all we got was thank you, thank you, thank you. And I always was a Northside guy, but I didn't think support would be like overwhelming.
Yeah.
And so then it was shifted from, okay, let's just not make sure the food trucks are happy, make sure the community is happy. If the community is happy, then they'll support the food trucks, and they're happy, then this food truck park that we have ultimately is a success. So we make sure that the community happy, backs them what they like. Yeah. We get a lot of feedback, a lot of constructive criticism along the way. So the focus really was like, what do we do to support this community that is supporting us? And we make sure that we have things that, different, whether it's different, events or, different ideas, different marketing schemes that people find amusing. But we made sure that we do our own thing and not copy it. Make sure that we're original thing. And we try to make the Northside proud.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that mentality of trying to bring something to a space, and I don't know, not so much with a mentality of like, oh well, let's put this nice thing here, but more. I mean, in my eyes, it's like this place deserves something nice. And so it's not like, I don't know. It's different than because you are of the North Side, therefore I don't know, it's that much more special. It feels like a little bit because um, I don't know. It's like, well, why wouldn't this be here? Like, this is one, the property's gorgeous. It's a great idea. It's a great space, and you're providing this thing for a community that wants to get together anyway. And you're almost just giving it that one more reason, to hey, come out and just spend time together. So, Chris, you are so much of the face of Amos Landscape, but I like how you mentioned that when it comes to Parc De Oaks, like, is you. Like, and so the food trucks don't talk to you. They may ask you something, but at the end of the day, it's like, well, you need to go talk to her. Like,
yeah, she does all the organization. Like I said, like, people don't know this, and everybody watching needs to understand. Like, I drive a truck and trailer every day. I drive a big F-350 with my other job, but Andrea organizes every food truck. I have not contacted one food truck. She has no idea how to drive a truck and trailer, but she knows how to maneuver and get every single truck lined up. as the face and you want to organize, you want to book, you have to go through that. So as far as the park goes, they don't even look at me.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, let's talk to Andrew. But on the other side, then it's like, hey, let me talk to Chris. So I don't get to have the smiles at all.
There you go.
The
Yeah.
dirty work.
Whenever the problems come in, that's where
Right, like
that's
let
where
me,
trying
let
to
me
find
get Chris.
Chris. So for Andrew, whenever you're putting together, what food trucks are going to be there each day, and even, is there? We talked earlier. There was mention of like, hey, you guys are at the point now of food trucks coming to you. Like they're asking you, can we post like? So is there any intentionality in how you set it up, or who's there, when, or where is it now versus like 100 questions all at the same time versus like when you first started though, you had to go find the truck. So like, or
Not
was it
really.
really just
Well,
like people were excited?
we announced with Develop in Lafayette, so I had an application and people were filling out the application. So I never had to reach out. Vendors would apply online, and then I would reach out to them. So now I just have to determine like what type of food they serve, how big is their trailer, what type of plug do they use? Do they use 30 amp or 50 amp? So it's several factors, and we can only hold max would be like 8. So just determine who's. They tell me their availability, and so I schedule them from there.
Yeah.
And then if I'm full, then they just move on to the next weekend. I schedule them from there.
Yeah.
So
they just figure it out.
Yeah.
One thing that is obvious, in talking to you guys, but also in being there, is the desire for it to be this community space. We talked about it already. So that kind of leads into the events that you guys like to do. And so, I don't know, like, which ones maybe that you've done have you really loved? Is there anything that you're thinking about in the future, wanting to set things up so that, again, like giving people just a space to just, I don't know, just to be together and be outside?
I think our favorite one we could agree was the Easter egg hunt. Just the colors of
There are probably
the
still
color
eggs
scheme,
somewhere,
yeah.
like out there.
The way it flowed, it was like flawless. We had actual help from like outside sponsors, like Get Your Game On,
Yeah.
PR, and Let's Create was a big sponsor with like creating the arts and crafts space. And then Get Your Game On did like provided the Easter egg. So it was just like a weight off of me. Like I had people doing things for me and helping me out. So that was like one of my favorite times, and everything ran smoothly. So like to say I'd never been to a public Easter egg hunt ever because we don't have kids. I think I did pretty well. I was proud of myself.
There were a lot of people there.
Yeah, it was very packed.
Yeah, it seemed to be.
Yeah,
Exactly.
She had a great time.
Yeah.
Once again, behind the scenes, like
Yeah.
behind the scenes, when the Easter Bunny needs to come out, you're ready to go. So is there anything that you guys look to when you're coming up with new ideas? I mean, do you still tap into a lot of the trips that you guys go? Are you still doing that? It's great research. Like, hey, we're gonna go to food truck park this weekend. Like, it sounds like a fun research trip. But all of it is like does it impact how you look at other things now? Maybe Chris, maybe not. Maybe you always look at things like that because that entrepreneurial background. But for Andrea, for you too.
I'm a natural like creative artistic guy.
Yeah.
So like that flow and that like we did all those props ourselves.
Yeah.
Like we didn't accept the cutout one. Everything else we like. I went to Home Depot and I designed that.
Yeah.
Like the backdrop. My mom, she has I'm the horticulture guy. My mom she's a florist.
Oh, nice.
So she has the idea of how to make the flowers on the back on the grass wall. We did all that.
Yeah, that was
even the arch with the flowers. We literally did everything. So it's like we have it naturally. So that's something we genuinely like. I love to create things. Like that's really what I like to do. Like she had to learn to love that about me. My mind literally doesn't stop. I have like 12 different business ideas. Yeah. That's why like even the marketing style that we do on the internet, like I don't take that from anyone.
Yeah.
Like the memes or whatever, that's literally just all like I just come up with it. So it's like it's a good thing to say, oh, you're creative and unique and original, but we can never really like sub it out and like hire another marketing team.
Yeah.
Because it's like you can't do it.
Yeah.
And even with the events that we plan, it's like we really do a lot of research and like say like we have inspiration, like Pinterest or something like that, or we might
Sure.
university, but locally, no.
Yeah.
Like there's nobody doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
So we don't really go to any other spots for inspiration because we're at the point where they come to us for
Yeah.
inspiration.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Where you're able to be that space.
Yeah.
But that touches on, there's this part of entrepreneurship that we talk about a lot, is what the entrepreneur brings to the table, like what you bring to the table, and kind of hearing you talk about it, another food truck park could open across the street and get the same type of trucks and try to put this, and they still wouldn't, because it's not you. Like the way that you market, the way that you put it, the way that you, that part of entrepreneurship being, I don't know, something that's really critical is that, hey, like, can you see how you make things different? Because you can't control so much. You can't control if someone wants to put a food truck park across the street. You can't control, but in some aspects, like, hey, go for it. Like, it's just going to drive more people here. It's just going to get probably even more business for both of us, and not really being worried about anyone stealing anything, because at the end of the day, you can copy everything, but if you don't have me, then you don't have everything. Then you really can't do that.
And for me, that's important, like building the relationships with the food truck vendors.
Yeah.
That's my favorite thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Like, just, you get to try a bunch of stuff, right?
yeah.
You get to see what there.
Yeah.
From Andrea, for you, whenever you guys were thinking about doing this, was there a moment when you maybe realized as you were doing it that, like, hey, this might be a really good idea, like this thing actually works?
Yeah, whenever all the support we got when we first announced, I was like, we might have something here. Like, I think it was like 2,500 shares we got from developing Lafayette. So I was like, oh, I think we're on to something.
Yeah.
So.
And then you opened and it rained.
Yeah. Better than I thought. Yeah. So.
It rained again.
Like, it did. But they stayed.
And people didn't. Was there? So once you kind of saw that support and saw that, you kind of had, okay, like this is a good idea. Like, we can do something with this. Did you feel like there was any change in you as you were starting to realize, like, hey, there's more we can do? Like, almost some of that Chris's mentality rubbing off on you, where it's like, well, now if this worked, maybe this can work, and maybe this can work.
Yeah, I see my confidence built from it, because it's like, oh, I did good the first time. Like, I kept going, and oh, this one's good. So just the different events and the organization of it, I'm really good at that. Like, I always say we're opposites. So like everything, we kind of balance each other out with everything. So, the organizing the events, contacting the vendors, keeping relationship with those, I've always been good at that, even in like my prior jobs. So I knew I could bring this and do good at it.
Yeah. I mean, that growth in confidence that plays such a big role in entrepreneurship. And I guess not from the opposite perspective, but Chris, for you, like, that's had to be a part of, again, since you were in 8th grade, like the confidence that, hey, we're going to make this work one way or another. And so for you, like, does that, where does that come from? What is that about? What is that? I mean, is that just kind of the way that you grew up? You're watching your dad, your grandfather also say, hey, we're going to make this work. It may not be how we thought originally, but
it never goes how you originally wanted.
Yeah.
But I don't think about failure. Like, I'm not scared of failing.
Yeah.
That's just what you have to have as an entrepreneur, because it's like, even if you fail, do it again. Like, and it's kind of like, take the emotional aspect away from it. It's like, just build it. But like, when I'm as a landscaper, like, a lot of people don't know, it's like there's downtime.
Yeah.
So between like December and February, there's times where there's no money sometimes coming in, unless you have like build a commercial clientele where there's contracts involved. There's no money coming in. So you have to budget for those downtimes. You have to budget for the bad times, but you also have to plan. Spring is coming.
Yeah.
So spring, like right now, like I'm doing this right now. If I got guys right now on the range, like working on a job, because like I'm everywhere. But you have to plan for that. So like when the times are bad, you can't just not necessarily bad when it's slower.
Yeah.
Because whenever it's there, it's there. So I don't think about failure, because it's like, I mean, there's no other option but to succeed. I mean, I don't focus on failure. I don't focus on failure or competition.
Yeah.
Do that and you focus on yourself, you're gonna win.
Yeah.
That's not a healthy thing.
Yeah.
To focus on the negatives.
Yeah.
I don't do that.
I mean, it becomes such a big part of it because I mean, we talk a lot in accelerator programs and just in entrepreneurship and talking to entrepreneurs in general. I mean, just that idea of, whether it's focusing on not trying to not focus on failure, not focusing on competition. In some ways, that's focusing on things that are beyond your control. Like you can't control who competes with you. You can't control who enters into the market, but you can control yourself getting more efficient. You're getting better at your job. Learning, building those relationships with clients. Like you can control those things, and by leaning more on the things you control, less and worrying less about the things that are his. That's beyond I'm just wasting energy focusing on or thinking about things that are not that I can't do anything about.
I really don't think it's a healthy thing.
Yeah.
To really focus on what they got going on. Oh, look, all we're trying to accomplish. Block that out. Focus on you. And
Yeah.
That's what I believe in. I don't believe in focusing on competition. I mean, I'm a landscaper, so I can literally be in my truck and trailer, and I'll be at a stoplight, and literally everywhere be another landscaper.
Yeah.
So I don't be like, oh, they're trying to steal my job.
Yeah.
Like, it's like you just focus on you, and then if you do lawn care, there's 10 times more people do lawn service.
Absolutely.
So then, like in my industry, we just wait for each other.
It's the one thing we have more of, I think, than car washes. Like is landscape people.
It's like because when I started with landscape, when my grandfather, there was nobody in landscape.
Yeah.
Like my grandfather is actually one of the first black horticulturists in the city. So it's like we were in it whenever it was like considered beneath. Yeah. Because you're working with your hands. We didn't mind because we saw our invoices. So
you just didn't tell anybody about the invoice. It's like, oh yeah, this is real terrible work. You guys don't want to do this.
So it's like, when we go to, like, I was just at the nursery. It's not like I'm the only landscaper there picking up flowers.
Yeah.
Like, hey, how you doing? Because we always have this saying, it's enough for everybody.
Yeah.
So as long as you're not trying to, backdoor and undercut people with pricing and doing shady stuff, focus on you.
Yeah.
Burger King, McDonald's across the street.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah. Listen, there are spots in Houston where there's at an intersection, there'll be 3 Starbucks at each corner, and it's like, how are you? Because there's enough people, and there's enough stuff, and there's enough traffic, and there's enough. I mean, yeah, that idea of there's enough work, and if you lean on your quality and on what you do, and then you just let that speak for itself. You don't have to worry about anything, someone else doing something, because at the end of the day, I know that I do that better than everyone else, and I'm welcome for other people to try. But and so I guess again, like kind of going back and forth. So that's sort of how you view failure and how you view. Andrea, is that something that you've kind of built, or you feel like it's building more in you as far as how you view when things don't go right, when things don't go the way that you'd hoped?
That's something I had to like shift my mindset, and like really did like self-care, like because it's hard. Like you just think of the fail. Like I'm opposite. I'm like, what if it doesn't work? What are we gonna do? Like stressing out. But I just had to like learn to let go and like not worry about it, and it always ends up like falling into place, how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, yeah. How much of Parc De Oaks and the landscaping business, like, is there a time where you guys can shut it off and just be like, hey, we're just married?
Not yet. If we're being honest, I think we're finally getting to that point, but it's very new, so it's still like, what did we do wrong, or what could we do better? Like thinking of things that we still have a lot of first things that we're doing, so thinking about that. But we finally just booked a vacation, so I think we're finally finding that balance. So
where you'll go to all the food truck parks, wherever you're
going, exactly.
And think about how you can.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, it absolutely is a business expense.
I learned that in Accelerate Northside.
Absolutely.
So,
We'll get Chase in here. We'll write off all of it. That's great, man. I love that. So as you look for, I don't know, I mean, Chris, you mentioned earlier, like, it's hard for you to turn it off. like the creative part and the business idea part. Um, is there? I mean, how do you filter? For you, like, is there a filter of like, well, that could be an idea, or that could be an idea, that could be an idea, but at some point, you're not doing all of them, and so I don't know. Do you filter it in any way, or file it away in your head somewhere, as far as like, well, maybe I'll try that later, or maybe I'll try this, or that might be an add-on to the landscaping thing at some point.
Well, even the original the park was supposed to, before that, it was supposed to be an add-on from Amos Landscape.
Yeah.
That was supposed to be Amos Nursery.
Because you guys didn't own the land, you guys bought the land. So like, how did you even come about getting the land?
Well, I bought it from my barber, Jason Walker. He had plans for it, and I maintained it for like 2 years. So I had other ideas with Amos Landscaping going on, but while I was here, I wanted the property, so I would literally be maintaining it. And I'm like, I'm gonna own it. And then I used to work out a lot. So like when we would go to the gym, and one day he was like, man, I think I'm gonna let it go. I said, I want it, and I really didn't have, and this is why this is just me. This is why most people think that was crazy. I didn't have an extra idea for the property.
Yeah.
I just knew it would work. I saw the traffic every day. I saw how wide it was. I saw the easy access. I said something can work here. So
aspects of this is you're thinking about that property the way that like nobody else thinks about that property. Like not everyone goes, oh, this is this wide, this close to this, and this.
As it was happening.
Yeah.
And then I was like, we should do Amos Nursery, and then bought it, and then we started laying it out, and then some things happened, where my idea shifted.
I wasn't gonna be watering plants all day.
Exactly.
I was like, I don't think I want to do that.
Like that may be a big part of how this happened.
So then she had the idea for a food truck park. That wasn't my idea. I was like, I don't even eat from food trucks. I was like, okay. And then it literally took off. I was like, oh wow. But that wasn't my original idea. So as far as my creativity, my ideas, like I wish I would write it down more. But I do keep it stored in my head.
Yeah.
Or sometimes I'll release it. I tell Andrea, and if I get an eye roll, I'm like, maybe not that one.
That's it. Listen, that is a great filter. Like, listen, I'll just slide this by. Nope, right. That was not the right time.
She'll be like, okay, let's focus on this one thing, that other one, because like it's hard for me to turn it off. Because like, yeah, we are trying to find a balance with that, but I don't really like doing much else.
Yeah.
Like, I really like creating businesses, and I really like being in charge. I like doing things. So like, I don't really like sports. I love to travel, but if I'm traveling, it's still from a business.
You're still thinking about
We're trying to go to Florida. They have a whole spring festival out there, like landscape. I want to look at that. They have the world's biggest food truck park in Orlando. I want to look at that. So if we go to Bahamas, I'm looking at like, hey, they might have sea moss. That's just what I like doing. Like, I really don't like doing much else outside of making her happy.
Yeah.
So other than that, I just love business.
That's
just a part of it.
If you just focus on those two things, I think you'll be all right. Like that's having a bunch of ideas, making sure she's happy. That's probably fine. Like I think that you'll get by. That's awesome. Andrea, for you, I mean, like, is there, if you were to think about where you are now versus like, all right, 2018, 2019, you're like, what would you advise that version of yourself to be thinking about or to be open to, or because it seems like you're in a very different space than now.
Currently I would have said research the tax information because I was like stressing. I mean, Accelerate Northside definitely
know more about taxes.
Yeah, because I could have saved myself like a lot of time and going forward. So I mean, now I have QuickBooks to help, but yeah, that was one thing. I'm like, the business side, I did not know anything about, didn't have much help. So kind of was just winging it and saved all the receipts. But then I had to go through every receipt and figure out, oh, did I miss something? Like, it was a mess. But yeah, so I would tell myself to make sure I have that in order, very first thing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. You say the good part about having to go through all the receipts is usually that's the only time you make that mistake.
Yeah, I had a garbage bag full. I was like, oh my gosh.
That's how much it was. Like, how am I going to get through all this all over again? That's great.
Yeah.
Are there particular? Do each of you have a favorite food truck? You actually know it. We're not gonna do that.
I wouldn't say favorite food truck, but we have favorite items
Items.
from
There
the
we go.
food
Yes,
truck.
that's probably the
Yeah.
better thing for me to ask. Like, is there a type of food truck that you're like, man, it'd be cool if we had this kind of food truck? This way, if people are thinking about starting a food truck.
We need it. We had one taco truck come, but they like to stay put.
Yeah.
But like, it would be nice to have like a taco truck there.
Hmm.
That's the only one I can really think of that we hadn't.
I mean, I like Mediterranean.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
that too.
It'd be good, but they, I would definitely spend all my rent money. But yeah, that's one of my favorite. I like Greek.
Yeah.
And we've been talking to the jerk stop. He's supposed to come.
Oh, nice.
We just haven't set any dates yet, but that's gonna be different.
Yeah.
Bayou Power King. So that was like the
Oh,
change.
yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That was a different shift. We had a couple of interests. We haven't heard any food truck, but people have asked like more vegan options, stuff like that. But that's up to the food truck. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Really at some point, yeah, especially with you guys having enough demand or enough people wanting to get in, outside of maybe trying to make sure every now and then. Like for me, it was great, and I mentioned earlier, like for me, it was great that there was at least one food truck that had pretty simple options because like 3 kids, like they're 10, they're 9, they're 5, like maybe I could convince them to try this noodle dish thing, but like if I can find some chicken tenders and some French fries, that's gonna be real easy for me to keep them happy. Like, because I can go there and a snow cone, and we're gonna be all right. Like, and then we can try whatever we want. Me and Taylor can do whatever we want. So that was good. I liked worked out wonderful that was there. Andrew, you mentioned going back and telling your previous self to learn all the business things. Chris, because you handle more of some of the conversations with the city and with everything else, was that just one giant learning process as far as what permits you're going to need, who you're going to have to talk to, what are you going to have to get approved? Like, was there some stuff that you kind of had already known before?
No, I didn't know any of that stuff. And I learned it was it was like a patience game and a learning game. Like I'm a calm guy, but like my grandfather, my daddy from Macomb, so it's like I'm used to like we need to have results now.
Yeah.
So it's like it's hard for me to just wait and deal the politics of certain things and certain permits and this, and you have to tell me to keep my cool certain situations and just let it be. Because sometimes she had to step in and talk to people for me because I was.
Well, you're just ready for it to be like you said I needed this. I have this. Why can't we do this? And they're like, because.
Yeah.
So I wasn't used to like.
Well, we were the guinea pigs.
So,
yeah.
And we were guinea pigs. Totally were guinea pigs. And it was a tough time. So if I could go back out and tell myself to just calm, it'll happen. Have faith in the people that are going to help you. Don't say things you're going to regret.
Yeah.
I don't have she has the college degree. She's a college one, so it's like, let her talk to certain people. I'm not used to that.
But that being a big part of, not that like still running the family business is different though than starting something from scratch, and so, yeah, I could see like there are aspects of starting something from scratch that was going to be like, all right, we're going to have to go through hoops that we haven't had to jump through before.
Well, we developed land from the ground up.
Yeah.
So we were our own contractor. This wasn't something. It's one thing like to be like a plumber or like a electrician or a landscaper. You kind of build up, get a couple of tools and get your LLC. But this is like you have to develop land. Like you have to.
There's a lot of money sunk in before you see anything.
A lot of ordinances, a lot of things you have to talk to. You have to talk to fire marshals, civil engineers, mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, development boards. There's a lot of things involved that nobody teaches you. Nobody.
Yeah. There's no guide. I mean,
and there's not many people around now that are like truly big corporations that are building now.
Yeah.
So we had nobody to lean on.
Yeah.
And all the things people would tell us is keep pushing.
Yeah.
So we had to just lean on each other.
Yeah.
So that was a hard thing. It's like, of course, we can go back in hindsight. There was so much more we know now.
Well, yeah.
But when you start out, people don't know. Like you get this piece of property, everybody will say buy land, buy land. That is just the easiest part. So after you buy the land and take your picture with your title, and man, it's a lot involved and a lot of money, a lot of headache, there's a lot involved that people don't know that we know now. That if people want to know, we can definitely help. I would love to help people who want to build commercially. This is gonna be one of the hardest things you will ever do.
Yeah.
And people that don't know, they don't know.
Yeah.
And like, cause like my father was in business, but he never did that.
Yeah.
My grandfather did business, but he never did that. My father can only help with what he can.
Yeah.
Other than that, he can say maybe I can get somebody to help you. But other than that, you gotta just let your children just struggle a little bit because they can't do anything. So it was hard for them too.
Yeah.
To see just their children kind of just go through a lot.
Yeah.
We went through a lot that people don't know and we can't say. But it's like we went through a lot to get to this point. So it was definitely some points we never thought we'd be here, like maybe 5 times. We never thought we'd be at this point, but
so to be at that point now,
yeah, I mean, it's crazy to be here at this point. That's why, like, when we talk about like the newspapers and TV, sometimes we kind of numb to it because it's like it was a lot to get here.
Yeah.
That I remember we talked about the opening. It was like, oh, we're gonna hug each other. We're so proud.
We didn't even have time. I barely saw him.
I might cry. No, I was stressed.
Exactly. If you're crying, is it because of stress?
Never at that point where it's just like, look at what we built.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
It's just always something else.
Yeah. Well, as you look at it now, then, like let's look at it now. Like, look at what you built. Like, when you think about it now, how you take a moment to think about what you built and all the work that it went into it, and all the, the intentionality and the effort and the stress and the, how does it make you feel now?
It's heartwarming for me because like people come up to me and like, thank you so much. We've always wanted something like this, and just the amount of support we have, and people use it as like a gathering space. So like if I'm out there and they're like, oh, I just saw my sister-in-law. I didn't even know she was gonna be here, or I haven't seen someone since high school and I just met up with them here. So it's nice to have that community space, and it's touching when they come and thank me.
Yeah. Because when you allow yourself to stop thinking about new business ideas and just enjoy this thing that you built from nothing.
I feel it's pride, it's a humbling feeling. Like whenever like we do events, and it's just hundreds of people there, and it's like they just came to our spot, and it's a great feeling. But I think the number one compliment I ever got at the park, and she don't know what she really said to me, is like she had a little kid was running around and stuff, but she came to me, she was like, I can exhale here, I can relax. And when you really look at the parents, they just look calm and at peace. They feel comfortable that their children have a spot in the Northside town where they can just eat, they can feel safe. So it was at one point it was about the food trucks, it was about the money, thinking about passive income. But then when that woman was like, there's just like a peace when I'm here. And she didn't really think about it. She just said it. And I was like, man, that's because like thank you for this, thank you for what she said. I feel at peace. Because for me, like I don't think about really my happiness, think about her happiness, but I think about whenever I'm at peace.
Yeah.
That's when I feel the best. So whenever she said that, that resonated well with me. Because that's a true compliment as somebody that has a lot of responsibilities to be that I can exhale here.
Yeah.
And she felt comfortable with her kid, just being a kid. I thought that was an amazing feeling because growing up, there was a lot of spots on the north side. You had to home a certain time. Don't go hang over there. And to say that there's a spot right there off on Mall Street, that's to me that's a great feeling to see like people bring their children, just go have fun.
Yeah.
And they have fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I think providing a space for people who, especially if you have people who always have to have that guard up, always have to be, even if it's that much, even if it's that much more alert, more aware, because they're just happen to be that way, to give them a space where they can just breathe, under the oaks, like in this beautiful environment, in this nice, and man, you catch it on a beautiful day like this past weekend. Like it really is, it's a gift. I mean, it's a gift to the city. It's a gift to the Northside. You know, it helps that it gives you some money, because you can't have that gift forever if there's no money coming back. But man, like, I don't know, whenever if you can think about whether it's this business or any other business, as your business is the gift that you're giving to the public. Everything changes, because now that can drive decisions moving forward. What events should we do? Well, we should do ones that make people feel at peace. What events should we? What kind of food trucks should we have? What kind of whatever? Like, I know that you guys are looking at adding more stuff to the park. I mean, all of it has that intentionality of how does it make that feeling even more apparent. More at peace, more at home, more being able to breathe, more whatever. That's great. So we have some people here. Any questions that you would like to ask? You want to start your own food truck park or something?
It's going.
Yeah.
Hopefully have that done. Hopefully by late fall. That's another very expensive project. And just finished one part of the commercial and was crazy enough to do another part of it. So yeah, that's something that we've been really looking forward to. It's going to have 3 bathrooms, a covered area for the farmers market and stuff like that. So we finally finished the rough phase of the plumbing, and then we finished the concrete. So we're on to the next phase of plumbing. So
just doing it in stages.
Yeah,
taking our time. I mean, yeah.
So what was the thought of why add that stuff?
Well, I mean,
other than the fact that you can't help it.
Well, I mean, a lot of
we're in a food desert too, so.
I always thought it would be cool to have a farmers market for some people to sell fresh produce and stuff. And also, a lot of people don't know, like, in like little communities in like the Northside, like you go like to like BZ, you go like to Truman, you go like to Fightingville, like those like older women and grandfathers in their backyard, they have raised babies. They've been raising okra and collard greens, all kind of turnips, like forever. A lot of people don't know, like in the Northside and a lot of these little pockets and neighborhoods, there's a desire for fresh food and fresh produce. And I always thought that'd be cool to have a gathering spot to sell this. They used to have an old guy used to ride around Macomb, in an old truck. He used to sell sweet potatoes, get his name, and that was always something that was cool. He'd ride around like ice cream, sell like fresh produce. That was a thing. That used to be a thing.
Yeah.
And
well, I can tell you, like, we've done 7 accelerated Northsides. There's probably 5 of them. Someone mentions this guy. Like, we need to figure out who this guy was, because like, who people, particularly who are in, particularly I feel like it was the Macomb Vise area, who always reference like there was this guy and he would go around and
you don't even know what impact he had.
Yeah,
he was just riding around selling like sweet potato, hot potato, and he had no idea that I'd be 33 talking about this.
Yeah,
but it's just like there's plenty of, like, my grandmother had a spot she always would go to get fresh okra. Always had a spot to get fresh collard greens, and didn't go to the grocery store to get a lot of produce like that. I don't know if you're supposed to, but I know people that sell corn in their back, grow corn. Everybody knows the chicken man. So it's like they have that on the north side and like behind their houses.
Yeah.
But why not have it on Front Street at Parc De Oaks? Because like we are technically in the food desert.
Absolutely.
I know it's not going to solve everything, but it'll like have a ripple effect where people will say like, hey, maybe people want fresh produce. Maybe they'll branch out, maybe some big grocery stores and say, oh, look, they have a desire for that. You never know what I've learned, you never know what effect your small impact will have by trying to have fresher options. Because it always was our goal to have fresh food options, not just food trucks over there, and healthier options.
Yeah.
So that I always wanted that even before we even broke ground. Like that was always in our mind.
Yeah, can you get that other piece? And I like what you said. I mean, like this idea of it's not going to solve everything, but I'm not trying to solve everything.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to move the needle a little bit, and then maybe someone else can pick it up and move it again, and maybe someone else can pick it up and move it again. I was having a conversation with someone, and they sent me like a message, sent me an image of like, Louisiana doesn't do well on report cards, like in general. And so like, that's not our forte. And sure enough, this was one that was like 50th, 49th, 50th, 50th, and it was like, his response was like, man, this is really hard to see. And I was thinking, I was like, it's weird that it gives me two feelings, one of frustration and sadness, and one of um, excitement isn't the right word, but it almost feels like you can do anything and at least make it a little bit better. It's almost motivation that, yeah, you're right. We can't fix all these at once, but we could do that one and maybe this one. And maybe next year, whenever this graphic comes out, we're 49, and then 5 years later, we're 45. And who knows where that stops going, if we've got people who are willing to say, I'll try to take care of this part, you go try to take care of this other part. And sometimes it's the physical thing that happens, and sometimes it's just simply seeing someone else willing to try.
Yeah, Lafayette will grow, like especially the north side, when people will say, we don't have this, let's bring it here. Not saying we don't have this, let's move it.
Yeah.
Like when we have,
And I like Houston though.
I don't like traffic.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
If it didn't take an hour and a half to get across the street,
Right.
that would be like,
Like whenever you see like I think Lafayette could be an entrepreneur's paradise. I really firmly believe that.
Yeah.
Like I say that a lot, but I believe like there's so many things you could ride around and say we don't have.
Yeah.
If you're somebody who likes to build, do it.
Yeah.
I don't enjoy when people say, "Boy, I wish we had this." I don't engage in that.
Yeah.
Because I'm the person who like to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish we had this. Oh, I'll support you when you get started.
Yeah.
Then it's quiet.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't really like talking like that.
Yeah.
Use a social one. I like
Just a man of action.
No,
Just let me see what you're doing. Yeah.
Like so, I like when people do stuff because we used to live in some townhouses not far from the park.
Yeah.
And another thing was like we felt to be successful because we wish we had this.
Yeah.
So we got the property and we built something. So it's like I wish other people would be like, I wish we had this. Do it.
Yeah.
If only Lafayette had that. Let's go.
Yeah. There's no real reason why Lafayette can't have whatever it is that you're thinking about doing. Like, will it happen overnight? Nope. But you can take a step today that can get you there at some point. And doing nothing is the only way to make sure that we never have that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I agree. Like the amount of people that we've been fortunate enough to work with or to see, or I mean, man, even if half of them accomplish some of the things that they're going for, you'll see pockets of the city that start to develop and grow and do things better. And and it's not necessarily a matter of trying to change the entire city with a light switch, but if you can make one street a little bit nicer, a little bit better, and those people now believe that they can impact something else, because so much of it, when it comes to that, just the mindset from an entrepreneur of, instead of seeing that that's a problem, I can see that there's a solution to that. And if we can get enough people who think that way, like you said, like who don't just say, I wish we had this, but say, I think we could use this, and I think I know how to do it. Let's just see. Let's just find out. And
the thing about being an entrepreneur is like you provide jobs for other people, or they can become an entrepreneur. It's like I'm here right now, but I'm technically at work.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have guys doing a job. Like we're here right now, but we have a food truck coming in a few hours.
Yeah.
But it's like they're making money because he gave opportunity.
Yeah.
So I like the idea of being an entrepreneur. Like you provide and you give, like it's a give and take.
Yeah.
And that's the true thing of entrepreneurs. Like you keep creating because you keep providing others. So like we have the food truck part, but those food trucks that they bust their butt.
Yeah.
They work hard, but
you provide that opportunity. Yeah, exactly.
We wouldn't be a food truck without food truck.
Yeah.
So nobody's bigger than the other.
Because we don't cook.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't do the cooking.
Yeah, you just provide that space.
Yes.
And I think that becomes so much of it. Well, before we wrap up, any other questions? Any other things you've been worrying? If you're online, I can't read your questions, so I hope you're not asking anything. I wish I could.
Are there any other events that you guys have ideas for?
Right now, we're in the works of like planning our 1 year event. So, yeah, it'll be nice.
Yeah, we have a lot of events planned. Can't announce them all.
Yeah.
It's part of that marketing. Just as a slow,
Yeah.
there'll be a meme about it, right? In a
Yeah,
couple weeks.
exactly.
It'll make you laugh, and then it'll make you hungry. And it'll go from there. When, all right. So quickly, when are there true food trucks at the park?
Lately, it's been Tuesday through Sunday. You'll have to follow our Facebook page to get the exact food trucks and the times that they'll be there. But it just varies because it depends on their schedule.
Okay.
But we've had a consistent Tuesday through Sunday schedule for a few months now. So
Good. Good
Yep.
for you guys for taking Mondays off too. Not really taking
Yeah.
Mondays off because
I mean,
it's just whenever you do all the other work.
right, exactly.
I want to book Mondays. So.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we're free,
Yeah,
open
yeah,
to it.
You just need a little bit more desire on Monday. Yeah, Monday's that day that everyone really thinks that they're going to cook all their own lunches.
I think that's always, it's like
But Tuesday is.
it seems like, and not just food trucks, but even restaurants, like that's like the slowest there.
Yeah.
It continues to be that. All right. Well, hey, thank you both so much. Like, not only
Thank
for
you.
the conversation about Parc De Oaks and everything else, but I don't know, the mindset that both of you have about what you're trying to do is awesome and really impactful. And thank you for taking the time to like also enjoy the fact that you did something incredible. Like, do that more often too. So we'll continue having our conversations every Tuesday. And so thank you for joining us here or joining us online, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ooh.
And now you can breathe.
Oh, yes.
Technically, I haven't pressed the stop button yet, but you know.